lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on a giant screen with the few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us.
They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. This is the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. It is Monday night. It is, what is this, August 7th, 2023. We're in a new month. I'm your host, Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And if you've never listened to the show before, if you're just downloading this for the first time, or if maybe you clicked a link and you're staring at two dudes in front of a bunch of movie memorabilia, you're like, what's going on? Well, we're about to talk to you about movies for like the next hour. We've got a lot of stuff to cover this week, so we can't dilly-dally. I personally saw a crap load of movies this week. I don't know about you. I saw Talk to Me, the new A24 horror film. Going to be talking about that.
I read about them having their hissy fit about how they think they would have just wiped the floor with everyone if big movies weren't coming out at the same damn time.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but we'll address that a little later in the show because it was all right. But I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Going to be talking about that later in the show. And then we ran into each other at the theater, unplanned, at Meg 2.
We did.
What is there a what was the sub caption for Meg 2?
The Trench.
Okay, yeah, not Electric Boogaloo. But okay, Meg 2, The Trench. We're going to be talking about that in the show as well. So 3 movies we've got to cover. So that's a lot. We'll have to keep the news at a crisp, calculated few minutes. So can we do that? Do you want to start with some news while I crack open a frosty beer?
Yeah, news. Okay, here we go. In very recent news, J.K. Rowling got her dumbass kicked out of the Pop Culture Museum in Seattle for her statements, and everyone saw that one coming because she's a bad person.
Did she got new statements?
Nah, it's just that they're like, ones. They removed her, all mention of her from the Harry Potter exhibit at Pop Culture. Like, this thing is so crucial to pop culture, and it has... The creator doesn't exist. It just appeared out of the magical ether. Yeah. It is pure magic.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, it is pure magic. Oppenheimer made $552 million after this last weekend, making it the highest grossing film set during World War II ever, surpassing Nolan's other movie of Dunkirk and Saving Private Ryan, which is crazy. That Oppenheimer is the biggest World War II movie ever. Lin-Manuel Miranda is making a new on-stage musical of The Warriors. That's a big...
You mean like, come out and play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder how much of the movie...
A musical?
Yeah.
So,
We'll
Warriors, come out and play.
Yeah.
And then, there's gonna be a rumble tonight. And,
something like that. We'll see how it goes. I wonder how much of the movie is going to influence that. One of the investors for Sound of Freedom got arrested for kidnapping, and it's a movie about stopping child trafficking.
Dude, so lately in the news, like every other day, they're like, here's one of the investors in the credits of Sound of Freedom who has got arrested for child trafficking.
Santa asked about it too.
And lots of people attached to this movie, coincidentally, maybe they're like, you know what, we really need to traffic some children. What would be the best way to like cover our tracks?
No, I invested.
Yeah, you know.
They're the ones buying all of the tickets to keep attention off of them. Well, it didn't work.
Well, it did the opposite. Way to go, guys.
They announced the casting of a remake of Bride of Frankenstein movie. It's going to have Christian Bale and Maggie Gyllenhaal in it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
If Universal can pick up the pieces of their dark universe, I'm okay with this.
Well, so I imagine Christian Bale will probably be Dr. Frankenstein, right?
It would make the most sense.
And is Maggie Gyllenhaal going to be the bride?
It would make the most sense.
So who's going to be Frankenstein's monster?
I don't know, maybe Alp.
Jason Segel.
Chip-
He's Hollywood's tall man at 6
I was gonna say like Robert De Niro could do it again, and oh man,
just everyone towers over Frankenstein.
fire bad here.
He's like this. He's like, yeah, that'd be good. There's a new trailer out for a movie called Dicks the Musical. Have you seen that?
I have not seen this.
It's god awful.
Whoa!
It stars such names as Megan the Stallion. Or Megan the Stallion. And you can tell that her acting chops are not there.
Not
just
up
from
to
the
par.
trailer.
Okay.
But you know who else it has in it? Nathan Lane.
Okay. Damn it.
And it's like,
Now I'm back.
what did he
back on
do
board.
to get stuck in this movie? And the whole thing is about their separated identical twins who are the sons of Nathan Lane and some lady, but they're not identical at all.
And Dex, he like comes out there.
Yeah, it's a very NSFW, unsafe to watch around your family musical because everything's some sort of crude song about ding dongs and dumbasses or whatever. And they're like, you guys look exactly alike. And one dude's like 4 inches taller, and they have totally different noses, and they don't look a thing alike. And they're like, yeah, we're identical twins. And it's like you couldn't find a set of twins willing to sing on film. You had to hire 2 dudes that don't look anything alike. So I feel bad for Nathan Lane. It looks real dumb. I imagine Nathan Lane's really funny in it.
I imagine a lot of people will go and see it because,
Kind of like that festival that's going on here.
Oh, if you're a Northwest Arkansas resident, at the end of this month, the Northwest Arkansas Testicle Festival is going on, and it's
this year it's not child friendly because last year they did that and everyone got upset about it. They're like, we want more titties and booze, and everyone's like, yeah.
There's on the advertisements, it's got like oil wrestling, wet T-shirt contest, topless sack racing, which I'm just like, what?
Yeah, wait till you see the people that sign up for that.
Yeah, that's
You're gonna look away.
Something you want to see.
Yeah, it's like the Jeff Foxworthy.
It's the Testicle Festival Spectacle.
It's the Jeff Foxworthy joke. You know what all men want? He's like, I want a beer and I want to see something naked. Not that. Yeah,
Exactly.
That's definitely what that whole event's going to be. Something people do want to watch. Did you see that they showed the design for Godzilla -1?
No.
I did not.
It looks sick. So they're giving Zilla bigger and better spikes.
Whoa.
Like once Zilla became more like
Super
radioactive.
Saiyan Zilla spikes.
Yeah. So now that Godzilla's battled Kong, he's like, time to beef up. So
I'm down with this.
Yeah, the bigger and just more ridiculous Godzilla looks, the better, because Godzilla is so cool.
He's the king of the monsters.
Yeah, well,
I mean that's all hail the king, baby.
Kong fucked him up pretty good in that last movie.
Yeah, but that's only because
He did have an axe made out of a Zilla spike.
right from
Which
like
is sick.
the land of the lost or whatever.
Yeah.
I was going to mention this because Movie Albert over on our Twitch stream mentioned this. A little bit of sad news, but he was a pretty old guy, had a very, very large directing career. But William Friedkin died this week. Famous for a lot of stuff, To Live and Die in L.A. And The Exorcist, which are two of my favorites, but French Connection, also a big one that he did. We're going to be doing an Exorcist booth this year at Nightmare on Block Street. So gonna send my tributes. There's a new Exorcist movie coming out too.
There is, with 2 people.
Yeah, 2 little girls that puke and talk about genitalia.
Yeah, I just don't know how the one girl's able to walk into the middle of like the church and just be totally unaffected.
I don't know. How do demons work?
I don't know. I did
demon
see
lore?
where people are asking if it's like Yabuzu or whatever the name of the demon from the first one is. Like, is it the original demon?
The
coming
one
back?
that's like has the corpse paint and's on the wall going. Yeah. Preacher. Yeah.
Come to the testicle festival. Yeah, that whole thing. Equalizer 3 trailer came out.
It did. Equalizer 3. That looks
cool.
good. A little Denzel kicking. I mean, how long I mean, I guess the bar is now set by Liam Neeson. Is how long can these aging
Well, they said it's the
dudes-
final one.
Yeah, but I mean, how old is Denzel? I mean, he's not Liam Neeson age, but there's a point where it's like, okay, guys,
Yeah, but have you ever seen Man on Fire?
it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
Have
awesome.
you seen the last 2 Equalizer movies?
I mean, I've watched a lot of Denzel movies, and he kicks some ass.
Yeah.
He's a cool.
He's 68.
See, 68 years old. I mean, I guess he could still.
I mean,
Maybe.
I like him.
I just the thing I like about Denzel's style of ass kicking is he's just like very smooth about it. You know, he's like, I'm just gonna kick your ass, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Oh no, Vince is sick.
Oh, shout outs to our boy, our Twitch mod Vince. He is feeling under the weather, so he just popped in to say hey, and he's going to bed.
Well, yeah, man. Every action movie Denzel Washington does, I like him, man. Book of Eli is pretty good.
Yeah,
that one was good.
that one was good, and he was like,
Because the end too, where it's just he's like,
I'm blind.
yeah, guess what, dude? Memorized. It's all right
I
here.
can't even.
It ain't on these pages.
Can't even see.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And he just whoops everyone, and he can't see a damn thing because Jesus or whatever. That movie took like a weird turn at the end.
Yeah.
Where it like turns out it's a religious movie. You're
Whoa.
welcome, and everyone's like, "What? Really?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Got him.
I murdered him for the big one." Yeah.
Let's see.
That movie's badass.
What other news can we hit up really quick?
DC stuff.
Okay, let's hit them.
Gal Gadot is teaming up with Safran and Gunn to continue her being Wonder Woman for the DCU. So Wonder Woman 3 will be a thing. Gal Gadot will be Wonder Woman in the DCU. Which, yeah, how long can she continue to be Wonder Woman or whatever in the new DCU? Because James Gunn or whatever. But the chick that was in charge, the lady that was in charge, Patty Jenkins, she had creative differences, stepped away. So Gal Gadot with her production company and their pending big Netflix blockbuster thing or whatever, she's taken over duties as like the big creative or whatever. So yeah, we'll get to keep her. And then Blue Beetle. Just the spiraling turd going down the toilet before it even comes
He's
out.
not making it.
That is Blue Beetle.
He's not doing a good job.
Yeah, Sholo just keeps messing this thing
Putting
up.
his foot in
man.
his mouth.
And it is currently projected to open at $17 million.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is? I have not seen anything he says.
It's always something stupid. Like he'll come out and he'll say something and it'll upset the world, and then he'll come back and he'll say something else, and then they're like, that doesn't help, you dumb kid. And he keeps messing up. Or like they're like, we're not gonna advertise this movie at all because writers and actors strike, so we're just gonna step away from advertising for a movie that's already made.
Yeah.
And then DC accidentally advertised the canceled Batgirl movie when they were meaning to advertise Blue Beetle. So everyone's like, oh, remember when we could have gotten cool Michael Keaton stuff without Ezra Miller being in the way? And
They'll probably release
Batman
that
Beyond
movie
or whatever.
at some point. I feel like it's just they're trying to turn it into an internet thing. They're like, okay, if we just pack it away,
Oops, we leaked it.
yeah, and it's
I
gonna
don't
be one of
think
those
so.
things.
It doesn't have the same draw as Deadpool. It doesn't have like 20 years of Wizard magazine being like cast Ryan Reynolds, cast Ryan Reynolds,
But if they put it away and be like, this is the film that they told you couldn't see,
No,
and
because
they
it'll
market
always
it.
be like, remember that Batgirl movie that no one wanted because we didn't listen
was
to
so
fans
bad.
at all? Remember when we were like, hey, fans, fuck you. Well, here it is. And everyone's like, no. And they're like, oops. Uh-oh. And what are
Sure,
they
you
gonna
guys
do
don't
with
want
it?
a Craven sequel?
Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do with it? No one wanted that Batgirl movie.
No one wanted this Craven movie,
Yeah.
but we're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dina says they shelved it, and now they're going to Morbius it. Yeah, that's what I think. I think they might just pull
Hold on to
Morbius.
it through COVID and then dump it on you, and you'd be like,
It's Morbin time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, unless you have any like,
I think that's
okay.
it.
All right. Well, we got to talk about what's coming out this week because we got a lot of talking to do. We got 2 movies coming out this week. It's the time where we tell you what's coming out in theaters. Not a whole lot of like big stuff coming out, but we've got one film from A24 that might get an expanded release called Medusa Deluxe. It's from director Thomas Hardiman. It's a murder mystery set in a competitive hairdressing contest. Extravagance and excess collide as the death of a contestant sows the seed of division in a community whose passion for hair verges on obsession. So it actually looks kind of visually interesting. It's been getting a lot of like, cool reviews. It's got olive branches on the poster, which everybody likes because it means it was indie, and A24 is putting it out. So, of course, everybody gets all hype when A24 is going to do something. So, Medusa Deluxe coming out this weekend. Also, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is a new sort of telling of the voyage of Dracula from Europe to the U.S. In the Bram Stoker's novel. The Demeter is the name of the ship, and he kills everybody on board. So, spoiler alert. Do you think everyone's going to die?
I don't care. I'm excited to not have to see the trailer anymore.
I just want to see this movie. Like, I love a dark, moody vampire movie.
I hope the dog lives. As long as the dog lives. I think we touched on that last time. Like, the ship the ship crashes into the dock like the Lost World Jurassic Park style, and then the doggy paddles to the side, and then Dracula can run wild on all the peoples of
what if he
the British
adopts
Isles.
the dog as one of his hounds of hell? Would that be an acceptable one? What if he like sucks its blood out and it's like Arf! And then it comes back and it's like Roof.
No, because then it's an undead dog, which means it.
But it's still a good boy. It's just an undead good boy.
No, the dog has to be the dog needs to be safe, and as long as the dog's safe, he can make Bunicula.
Well,
this could be a prequel to Bunicula.
It's Dogicula, Pupula.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, have you not ever read Bunicula?
Of course, I've read Bunicula.
No,
come on.
No, dog can't die.
Horror hound, hellhound. It's just like in Lost Boys. They guard Dracula. There's hounds of hell. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Nanook! Whatever. I want to see it. I think it's going to be fun.
Did the dog turn bad in Lost Boys?
Nanook, no. Nanook saved him. Saved him from his brother. He's like,
Oh, because they were in the tub.
You blood-sucking piece of shit!
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll Lost Boys out. It's getting close to October, so by the time September hits, we're going to just be always talking about this kind of shit, so buckle up. Okay, well, those are the movies that are coming out this weekend. We got that out of the way. Let's start talking about movies that we watched this week, and I figure I'll start with TMNT, because if you didn't notice them up at the top, I've got my little where's my finger? I got my little toys here from the theater. Got the whole set there. It's the new Turtles.
What's wrong with Leo's face?
He's just like intense being Mr. Leader Boy.
Why is his lips all thick and drooped down like the plastics?
I don't know. It was in my car for a while, so maybe it's hot out here, guys. Okay. But I also thought it would be fun. Like this movie is called Mutant Mayhem, and it's an interesting take, because there's no Shredder, which I was refreshingly happy about, except for the inclusion of Shredder in the Ninja Turtles canon explains how like Splinter, knows
Orokosaki.
Yeah, Orokosaki. He was, that whole thing was done very, very well in the first live action film. This movie has no mentioning of Shredder, and in fact, the Splinter teaching the Turtles the art of ninjutsu is from YouTube, right? And that I didn't like. Like the only big complaint I had about this movie is really centered around Splinter. Splinter, of course, was voiced by Jackie Chan, which I thought I was going to enjoy a lot more than I did, because they made Splinter kind of a bumbling buffoon butt of all the jokes. He's just like, I'm old and stupid, and teenagers hate their parents, and parents are dumb and just don't understand. And then they made a character that was really actually stupid. And there was only one scene where Splinter like actually kicks some ass, and it was very cool. I will say the animation style, at first I was a little bit skeptical. They're pulling a kind of Into the Spider-Verse, but I think it really worked for Ninja Turtles because I'm really sick of seeing these CGI live action hybrid. Those two turtle movies that were CGI live action hybrids were terrible. And for a franchise that's like how old now? I mean, it's the first movie came out in 1990. So
when did a cartoon come out?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's been
80 something.
Yeah, late 80s. This is an old franchise, guys. It still felt fresh, and one of the things that I really appreciated is they tapped on a lot of characters that were from the OG days that never really got their time on screen. They'd be tertiary characters that were either in the comics or had little episodes about them on the animated show, which was cool. And I actually did a thing and went and I dug out all my action figures of characters that were in the movie, which was kind of fun. And so they had Mondo Gecko in the movie, and this is the old Mondo Gecko figure. They had Leatherhead, who was a bad guy, but they did some weird things with the bad guys, which I'll talk about in a minute. And of course, they had Bebop and Rocksteady. My Bebop is missing a hand, and this was voiced by Seth Rogen. He's like, "Oh, drugs, hey, you smoke weed?" And, did that. They had an odd character that I never really thought I would see on screen, which is Wingnut, but they did not include his pal Screwloose, which was just one of these, like, little plastic goobers. They had Ray Fillet, which I thought was a very stupid inclusion because he was just a joke most of the time. And they had these other two. They had Genghis Frog. They didn't have any of the other punk frogs like Napoleon Bonafrog, but they did have Genghis Frog or Attila the Frog. And then they had Scumbug. And Scumbug, who is this guy right here, which I guess really never had any story. He was just a figure. They were into making weird figures like this just to sell to, idiots. And they turned Scumbug into a female character, and then there was a weird, like, love interest with him and Splinter that became, like, a gross-out gag. Overall, I thought the movie was really fun and paced well, and Ice Cube being Superfly, which was an experiment of Baxter Stockman's, which they included him, and it was really fun and kind of this new sort of ooze tale. Really worked, and I thought that modernizing it in a world where there are cell phones and there is the internet, and despite my apprehensions going into this of having these voice actors that really sounded very prepubescent for being teenagers, actually worked. I wasn't mad at it as the movie went through. I thought they did each turtle got a lot of good representation. For the things that we like about him. Michelangelo got to be the party dude. Raph had the, it's like, I've got rage issues and I'm pissed off at Leo all the time. And Leonardo had this whole sort of loyalty. I don't want to be a stick in the mud, but, I'm going to tattle on you guys at the beginning. And everyone's like, fuck you, Leo. Why'd you have to tell Master Splinter we went out for pizza? They did change April O'Neil. She's a teenager in high school, so she's the same age as the Turtles. Yeah, but she was like in the journalism department wanting to break out, and it worked out okay. Overall, I thought it was a lot of fun. Let's see. Rye Cerrone on Twitch says they fit their personalities without being a stereotype. Yes, and I thought I thought they did a really good job with it. Rye also says, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun making them actual teenagers this time. They were missing the Rat King, and they're setting up for a sequel, clearly. And they did tease about the Shredder, which I was not okay with. I just just keep Shredder out.
Yeah, but it's the synonymous villain, though.
But the problem is Shredder doesn't have much of a purpose now when he's not attached to Splinter.
Foot Clan
And the Foot Clan, yeah, they're calling on him like he's like a hired muscle. Yeah, Furious Apology, Wingnut, and Screwloose was there. Ray Fillet, yes, there was Ray Fillet. Mondo Gecko, the greatest character in the movie. He was very, very cool. I overall I thought it was a lot of fun. As being an old fan of the Turtles, even if a new generation, I think that this was really appeal to a new generation because it had all the pacing. I mean, they must have spent an absolute ton of money on music licensing alone because the soundtrack was fantastic. Like the choices, they had classic hip hop, some modern hip hop. They had old like R&B and soul, which was really cool. Like Motown stuff going on in there. And then Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor did the score. I mean, the music in this movie is just freaking phenomenal. So they're pulling a Spider-Verse with this, and unfortunately it's not like doing gangbusters at the box office, which I think Barbie and all these other movies have a little bit to blame. But I think that this movie is better than the last several Turtle offerings.
How far is several?
I mean, if we're going to go back through it.
Because TMNT was sick.
That was the animated one, right?
Yeah, but it was a sequel to the live actions.
So TMNT was the 2007 one. That was what Raph versus Leo. They had their kind of falling out, right? If I remember that storyline. Kind of Raph goes out on his own, because that one was good. But the Ninja Turtles.
I just remember going into it, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then it was like, this is actually a sequel to the stories that you already know. And I was like, well, this is amazing.
Yeah, TMNT, which was 2007. That was the last good one to me. I did not like the Ninja Turtles in 2014, the Michael Bay one. I didn't like the Out of the Shadows in 2016. Thought that one, the Michael Bay ones were garbage. But this one was good. So I recommend it. I think people should check it out. And it gave me an excuse to go dig these things out, which was kind of fun and nostalgic, because they were just in a box in storage. So. Ray Fillet, which was a thing that happened in the movie a lot, because he didn't want to like fight anybody. He just wanted to start a singing career. Ray Fillet, and it was dumb. It was so dumb.
How did they explain everyone else being mutated weirdos?
Because they were all experiments in Baxter Stockman's lab, and Superfly was the oldest of the creations. And when this company that wanted to use them as weapons, like Baxter Stockman, he was like, give us all these things and give us the formula. And Baxter Stockman's like, eat my dick. And they were like, well, you're gonna die. And they killed him. Like the first 5 minutes, there's murder. They set the building on fire. And Superfly, who is just this infant mutant fly, sees his dad get murdered, and he's like, humans suck, and I don't like them. And he rescues all the incubated tube mutants that he was working on and raises them up, and that's the rest of these mutants.
Wait, so Stockman's gone, and he can't ever become the fly dude himself?
The fly dude himself. So Superfly was like the son, because he treated him like a son. And anyway, the last container of the ooze fell down into the sewer, and that created the turtles.
Wasn't it? So, the turtles came after everyone else.
They were at the kind of the same time. So, but they came a little bit later because the ooze had fallen into the sewer. So that explains why Superfly's older. Some of the other mutants are a little bit older, and because they got on Splinter first, and yada yada yada. So anyway, I thought it was good. I recommend it. It was fun. There we go. I'm looking forward to a sequel. So next up, I guess, do you want to both? We'll both talk about the Meg and then wrap up with Talk to Me, because I'm gonna drink some fluids.
All right,
Meg 2 up next.
Meg 2, The Trench. Right. It's the sequel to Meg, and it's exactly what you expect it to be. It opens up with megalodons coming up into 0 inches of water to eat T-Rexes, and then it just continues to be ridiculous from there. It delivers on what it's supposed to be.
On what it told you. Yeah.
I'd read that apparently it's getting just terrible reviews all over the place, or getting review bombed on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. What did you expect? It is what it's supposed to be.
Are any of the reviews complaining about the fact they had to read a shitload of subtitles in this movie? Because I thought that was kind of cool.
I didn't, dude. It doesn't even Grips Foreign Films, man. It just didn't even bother me. Yeah, man. It's fun. It's a fun movie, and you know what this one did that I usually hate in monster movies, see Godzilla, is it dealt with people. And you're like, I'm here for the monster. Why do we care about these people? And it has human villains, right? The main villains in this movie, the antagonists, are not the massive 200-foot long sharks, or the kraken, or the dinosaur-like critters that find their way onto land.
That was almost one of my complaints about the
human
movies.
villains.
Well, no, how many like
Different
creature
monsters.
villains there were with no sort of exposition. Like the Kraken just was sort of like, well, there's a Kraken, and here's these dinosaur ones.
Well, it was so that they could do the thing that they did at the end of the movie. But so even though it's a monster movie and you're there for the monsters and the people getting bit in half and eaten in crazy ways, it made the main villains of this movie people with greed and stuff like that. And it didn't overshadow the monsters. They actually did it okay. You're like, oh, these people suck. And then they get eaten. You're like, yeah, that's what you get. You know, and it had dumb one-liners. It had stupid, unrealistic things that happened throughout the entirety of the movie. Every turn, it was like, yeah, if he breathes water into his nasal cavities, then his face can't decompress in 20,000 foot deep water.
yeah, that was a little absurd. Where he's like, I'm just essentially going to just swim into a harsher environment than the vacuum of space. But if I just go poop and pop my ears, like I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there's science or pseudoscience or whatever it is. Still, it made it where you're like, okay, he can do that. It's plausible because they said a thing. But that's not the part that mattered, because he's like, oh, it's gonna get bitten by a thing, you know. And I had fun through the whole movie. I really did. It was exactly what I wanted.
Clearly, this movie was heavily funded by Chinese production studios, because half the cast was Chinese and speaking, and
Jason Statham was a producer on it too.
And Jason Statham was a producer. A lot of subtitles in this film. I will say that Jing Wu, who played Ju Ming in this movie, was really fun to watch. He was fantastic, and he is a martial artist that is, famous for the Wolf Warrior franchise.
This time around, none of the main characters sucked, right? Like,
yeah, and I mean, you had Cliff Curtis, who's he's always Cliff Curtis. Paige Kennedy kind of returning as the character DJ with it had a backpack that was like became a character, which was kind of funny and gaggy, but there was. Some of the human bad guys, like the Jess character and the Montez character, who just showed up with an inexplicable machine gun for whatever, and was like, I'm salty bad guy that was on the...
Well, he had all the mercenary dudes that were his homeboys.
There was a little bit of inexplicable...
What do you mean? They totally explained all that.
I mean, yeah. There was just a lot, I felt. Like, to me, there was a lot going on that I was getting kind of confused at what I'm supposed to follow.
They explained it in the sense that 2 helicopters landed on the island, and then all of a sudden they had a fully armed army with... Yeah, okay, you're right about that part.
It's like, what? And how did a lot of those guys... I don't know. It
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
The point of it, really.
Well, and that's the thing that I had to keep telling myself through this movie is, like, doesn't matter. Like, why am I here to see this movie? I'm not here to, like... go, oh, the cinematic masterpiece, Meg 2. I'm here to watch like a megalodon eat some tourists, and I'm like here to eventually watch a megalodon fight a kraken, because I knew it was in the trailer. I'm like, that'll be fun, and it was okay. I was there to see Jason Statham be like, oh, I guess I'm gonna kill this Meg with a stick, and he did, and it's like, okay, yeah, all right. So at the end of the day. At the very first scene, you see a megalodon eat a T-Rex, and it's not because like it had anything to do with fucking jack shit. It was like, well, we're gonna jump shark and we're gonna have a shark eat a T-Rex because ninja robot sharks, like the whole like mid 2000, like 2015.
Yeah, but
style.
It's also like a screw you to Jurassic Park type thing too.
Oh.
It's like, look at the monster movie we make.
So there was.
Which this is way better than any of the Jurassic Park movies that have come out. And
I can agree with that. I'm not going to say this is a great movie.
It's
better?
more fun than Jurassic Park 3
or
than
Jurassic
any
Worlds.
of the Jurassic Worlds.
Yeah, I cannot handle the Jurassic Worlds because...
Are those Chris Pratt?
Yes.
Yeah, the Chris Pratt Jurassic Worlds. I cannot handle those because the problem that those movies do that the Meg sort of gets right is that Jurassic World tries to take itself seriously, and it tries to be like, we're carrying on the torch of this great franchise, and they're not. And then the Meg is like, you know what? Jason Statham's gonna ride a jet ski into a mouth of a Meg. He's going to grab a helicopter blade and kill it like a bear. Like, that's what's just going to happen. And it does. And you're like, what? Okay, that's what I'm watching right now. And it kind of delivers with that for some reason. And is this a movie you need to see in the theater? Absolutely not. Like,
You don't think so?
No way. I mean, it didn't have enough underwater stakes to, like, theater, like The Abyss or Jaws, or one of those things that has these really suspenseful, terrifying moments that are underwater, where when you're in a theater, you kind of feel like you're there too. All the underwater moments in this movie, I think, kind of got hurried through to where they were back on the surface, back where it's easier to shoot, back where they can have tentacles pulling a helicopter down into the ocean, all that kind of stuff, where they can do a lot more physical comedy because they had guys like Jason Statham and they had guys like Jing Woo, being able to do lots of cool action-packed physical comedy to make the movie fun. So anyway, Fierce Apology said that they regretted paying full price for this film.
Really? Why?
Did you go by yourself? Because I feel like this is a movie that you need to kind of go with a posse. Like, I would not like go, it's Thursday, I'm a little bored, I'm gonna go watch Meg 2. I'd want to like get a group of people together. Like, I'm glad that we ran into you in the theater, because it just like it made it a little more fun knowing that there was somebody else in the theater going, what the oh my gosh. So
I wouldn't be upset about paying full price for this ticket. You get exactly what you're getting. It's like, are there sharks that bite people? Yeah. Are there people that kill those sharks? Yeah. Is it dumb? Yeah.
Well, and I'm quite fascinated that this movie even got made, because as Baldwin Orange just said over on our Twitch stream, said the Meg to me always felt like a sci-fi original. Shark stuff is not mainstream anymore. And that's true. Like, the whole Sharknado, Shark Apocalypse, Shark
Sharks
Week.
not being mainstream. What about that movie with Blake Lively where she's stuck on the rock, and then they made a sequel to that? They got 28 meters below, and then they made a sequel to that.
Sharks are always going to be a thing.
They just made that Evil Mexico giant black shark oil rig movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. What was that one called? It just came out.
Evil devil black shark thing.
Bloodwater monster guy.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of shark movies. I mean, it seems like it's kind of like mainstream because it's always going to be terrifying.
And maybe just because it's just so played out. I don't know.
The one thing, the one thing I didn't like about this movie is that there was a couple of jump scares. I didn't like the stupid jump scares in it. Like when he's having like the hypoxia or like whatever, and that one thing comes biting at him.
Oh yeah, it gets him in the helmet.
No. When he did the deal.
Yeah.
And it's like flashing the screen.
The invisible thing.
Yeah.
That didn't exist.
No, it did because he kills.
Because he kills it.
I
Yeah.
know, but you couldn't see it.
Right.
Silly.
Yeah. So other than the couple of jump scares, I thought it was good, man. And I like that they didn't give too much time to the human villains. They're like, this person's bad, so they're going to die. Get ready for it. And then you watch them die. And they even do like a Jurassic Park death for one person.
It does, as Baldwin Orange, just like you said, it does feel like a sci-fi original. I mean, that's why I said, like, I had fun in it. It doesn't feel like a theater movie to me. It's a fun movie. The original movie I actually did like in theaters. I thought it was good. This one, again, it was exactly what I signed up for. No more, no less. So, Baldwin Orange says, ocean movies, the world is bigger than it was in 1970. The bad guy needs to be the ocean. Cinema verite has moved on. I mean...
Well, so there is a part of this where the bottom of the ocean and all of its dangers and stuff become part of it, because it does that thing that the... what's that movie with the Twilight girl where those mermaids kill them? It does that whole thing. They have to journey across the bottom of the ocean in the pitch black, and all of its dangers are there to kill them. So it's not the megalodons. In fact, the megalodons don't become villains until halfway through the movie or later. Yeah,
they're really just kind of there, and there's 3 of them. So anyway, that's that movie. It's in theaters. You can see it if it's your cup of tea. Check it out. If it's not, then you're not gonna miss anything. So it'll be on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something very soon, I think. Let's see. What else? Oh, yes. I saw Talk to Me. That's the third film we're going to talk about this week. Talk to Me is a horror thriller from A24, from the director duo Danny and Michael Philippou, if that's how that's pronounced. It is a lot of up-and-comer Australian stars that are in this film, and it is it's a horror movie. It's a pretty straightforward horror movie. It's about a group of friends discovering how to like conjure spirits using this like embalmed hand thing, which was a really kind of fun, spooky, effective prop. And they all become like hooked on the new thrill, kind of AKA like Flatliners a little bit, where, you know, in that movie Flatliners, there were a bunch of doctors that would kind of induce death and then experience the afterlife for a minute and then like wake them back up, and they got hooked on that kind of going in between until some shit really got weird. So very similar to that, until one of them goes too far and unleashes a super terrifying supernatural force. It's where the movie kind of falls apart. And, you know, is this movie spooky? Is it kind of scary? You know, oh, Dina. So, yes, Flatliners. That's the one that this made me think of as well. I hope that was the same for you. But, you know, people talk about, oh, my God, this movie's so scary. It's so crazy, so scary. No, to me, it was trying to be a blend between It Follows and Flatliners, make it hip and kind of a new take on some ideas that we're familiar with, but kind of missing the point on either, because, you know, number one, it's about these kids. Like, one of them's like, have you seen the TikTok of our friends' parties? And they're like showing this video, and it's like people with their eyes all blacked out, like going, we're gonna swallow your soul, you know, but not like in a cool Deadite way. And they're like, oh man, that's so rad, I wonder if it's real. And then they go to the party, and this girl who's trying to like fit in is like, I'll volunteer. And then she straight up sees a dead person, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so scared. And then continues, like, somehow these kids know this demonic ritual to like go, okay, you can only do it for 60 or 90 seconds, but now you have to say, talk to me. Now you can see the ghost, and then you got to say, I let you in, and then you get to be possessed. And they're like, and the demons are there like going, oh, I'm going to kill all you kids. And, you know, they'll freak out. Or like one kid at the very beginning, like, stabbed his brother and then killed himself, but somehow they keep doing this party trick for whatever reason. I don't know.
It's just a different world in Australia, mate.
I guess it. Blimey, it is pretty wild.
Where do they find the hand? Is my question.
Well, and that is kind of unexplained. They're like, oh well, so and so got it, and they said it used to belong to this medium. He used to talk to spirits, and you know, Dina says on Twitch, she says, I give wide berth for horror, but I also felt like Smile. Yeah, it did a little bit. Where the thing that I didn't like this movie is it did not kind of lean into the urban legend of this. I think it would have been a little more scary if we had heard about these kids like talking about, I heard about this and maybe it works, but it immediately worked like in the first 60 seconds. And it wasn't like an urban legend story either. Like the first scene where the kid who's way too possessed like kills his brother and then kills himself, and everybody's like, oh, holy shit, what the hell happened? That was like their homie, and not like a kid in another town where it was like, well, and the hand got lost, you know, and nobody knew. And it's like, I heard this one kid like stabbed his brother, and like, no way, dude, you do it. No, you do it. Like that would have made more sense. But instead they were like, oh yeah, that was like Tommy that did it. Yeah, you know, but he's crazy. Let's keep doing it. Yeah. And
Steve held on for 93 seconds.
Yeah.
That's a no, dude. 90
seconds, bro. And so I don't know. It just, that aspect of it really lost me.
Maybe it's because they live in Straya, and this is one of the safer activities they can do. It's like, what are they going to do? Just go get bit by funnel web spiders, or like
or
king browns, or like great whites.
Oh, mate, fuck going outside, mate. I got this hand. We talk to demons inside.
And I don't know that was Australia.
Might be. That's my best Australian you're going to get right now. But so Dina says on Twitch, she says A24 tends to have a more folky thing, and they dropped the ball on buying this one. I agree. I just, the teenage prank element of this just did not. I liked the element where the main character was getting sort of hooked in, where she discovers the ghost of her dead mother, and she's like, now I want to keep doing this. I thought that was kind of cool. And the way that they leaned into someone who would actually want to do this more, that's where I bought in. But like 100 kids did this a whole bunch of times, and they're like, hey, we're talking to demons, I'm getting possessed, I pulled my pecker out and swung it around, but I'm going to do this again, which is really one scene. Like, and they get super embarrassed, and they all film it, and they're like, oh, look what you did, dude, you totally like came. And and then you grabbed a knife, you banged your head on a table, let's keep doing it. And I don't know, maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe Australian kids are just a different breed. And as Dina said on Twitch, maybe they're just trying to hit a Gen Z generation. I don't know. To me, there was some good creature effects, there's some good makeup, they had a good idea. That hand prop is like, I want one. Like, it was a really, really cool, iconic looking prop. But overall, I feel like the movie just lost, especially for a movie that's only an hour and a half. It like lost me in the middle, in the hour and a half. Like, that's the runtime. It should have been really tight, but it wasn't. So, yeah, I mean, it's like a wannabe Ouija board kind of weird thing. Independent Australian film. They're leaning into the indie, like Dina said on Twitch. They bought it from a film festival, but I don't know, not their greatest one. I mean, A24. I feel like A24. We're gonna start seeing a lot more lightweight movies that aren't just stellar out of the park, because they're getting a lot more pressure as a studio to put out and discover all these really amazing films. But the problem with that is it requires really amazing films to do that. And, they are not producing a lot of these movies. They are just distributing and buying up and representing a lot of these movies. So anyway, Talk to Me. It's in theaters right now. If you need a spooky movie, it fits the bill. It's not anything you've never seen before if you watch horror movies. So, yeah, there you go. Okay. Got that out of the way. 3 movies. 3 whole movies we talked about with time to spare.
How about it?
Look at that. We still have time for the box office. Yeah, let me take a sip of this Malort. Finally, I've been just waving around this bottle. Would you like some?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Crisp, refreshing Malort. Okay. What are you talking about? It's bracing.
It's room temp.
Yeah, room temp.
That's how I prefer my drinks, honestly. That part doesn't bother me. The only part of it that bothers me is that he's swigged from the bottle.
That it's Malort.
I'll drink it room temperature. I'll drink the nastiness that is Malort. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not drinking after somebody else.
So if I bring in Malort minis to the studio?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Dude, how many people have I brought to your bar and be like, you got to try Malort, dude?
Well, this is true.
And they're like, oh, I don't know. I've never heard about it. I'm like, well, it's kind of gross, but it's fun. And then they do this. And then they never talk to me again.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Because to me...
Well, do you know one of their advertising
hilarious.
slogans? They have a poster, Jepson's, which is the company that makes Malort.
They'll never talk to you again. Is that what it says?
Well, they have a poster that says, when you want to unfriend someone in person. Yeah.
I just think it's fun to be on a date or have a
Go
buddy.
ahead, baby. Drink Malort.
How many dates have I brought in and be like, let's do this? And you're like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
And then they never talk to me again. Those girls just disappear. They're like, I hate you forever. I'm like, well,
Well.
it happens.
All right. Well, we're going to give you the box office roundup. It's how we finish up every show. We're going to be the top 10 movies in America. We'll throw in some foreign market numbers as well, especially for movies like Meg 2, where it really makes a difference. But these are domestic numbers because studios really care about domestic takes. So Jake's going to start with number 10. He's going to work his way up to number 1. And, yeah, take it away, Jake.
Somehow still hanging in the top 10 in 8 weeks out from Disney, Elemental brought in $1.32 million this past week. 148.4 is its take at the box office in the U.S. They're already talking about its physical media release with a collector's metal tin cover and everything like that. Yeah, even though it's like
because
not done very well.
minivans across the country still don't have access to streaming media.
I guess so. Yeah,
physical media
and
still
only
exists for road
148,
trips,
but it stayed up. It stayed in there for 8 weeks. Who would have guessed? And then coming in at number 9, also from Disney, one of their other flubs, Indy 5, 1.6 million this past week, bringing its domestic take up to 170 after 6 weeks of being out in the world. Worldwide, it's brought in 368.8. I still don't think that's enough to bring in their full budget with advertising. Number 8, Talk to Me, the one you just talked about, in its second week out, brought in 6.2. Wow, the jump from Indy to that, 6.2 million. It's brought in 22 in the U.S.
Not much of a foreign.
Did you say
take.
Indy was number 9?
Indiana Jones?
Yeah, I
Indiana
don't
Jones.
think that was it.
Ah.
I was like,
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Indiana Jones, the new Indy. We just didn't call it Dial of Destiny.
Yeah. Indy 5 is what I'd said.
got it.
But yeah, Talk to Me brought in 22 million. It's probably made its money and then some for a horror movie.
It's doing great. I mean, for an independent,
Which it's not in the top 10, but did you see that Insidious is the highest grossing horror movie of the year and everything like that? Like,
it's made $80 million.
Not bad for a horror movie. Probably not as good as they want for that series. But yeah, there you go. Number 7. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, because we got to give full titles apparently for some reason. In its 4th week out from Paramount, brought in 6.6 million. It's only brought in 151. I really hope more people will go and watch this. It has brought in just shy of $500 million worldwide. That's good news. But it's so much fun. It's a theater movie. It's
honestly,
like
of all the movies that have come out in the past few weeks, it's the theater movie. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
one.
I'm curious because I know one of our Twitch viewers, Night Owlishly, who I see here in the comments right now, I know has been going through, because I recently went through all the Mission Impossible movies, and we were talking about it on Discord, and I know that they as well went through, and I'm curious to know how that journey is going. So
it's a hell of a time.
It is.
I watched every Mission Impossible before watching this one because I just like them.
Because they're good.
They're so good. And then just above Mission Impossible, coming in at number 6, Sound of Freedom, the one with all the criminals that invested in it. And
it's finally dropping
week.
now that people are like, oh, wait a minute.
But it still brought in $7.5 million with all of its pre-purchase tickets and everything for empty theaters. $164 million is its take here in the U.S. And then coming in number 5, Disney's Haunted Mansion, which you talked about last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, $9.2 million. It's only brought in 42.2 so far.
Not a big international like draw on this movie.
Yeah, well, which if you want a spooky movie, there's another one, right?
Yeah, it's more family spooky.
Yeah,
you don't want to take the kids to
probably
talk to
why
me.
it's not going to do well now that there's another kid option out there.
There's a lot of kid options in theaters that are gonna, like, this weekend and next weekend. Lots of kids movies.
Which the kid option opening at number 4.
Oh.
Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem brought in $28 million, but it opened a couple days early, pre-showings, all that, so it's brought in $43 million total. Which is probably not the kind of numbers that they hope for big, well-known franchises like this.
I think that if this movie just sticks in theaters for a little while,
it'll do the kids movie thing where it's like that's the only option. So
pull some traction.
It does the Minions thing, or it does the Secret Life of Pets
or
thing,
Elemental.
Yeah.
You know, Elemental did the same thing. It's got a really slow start.
Or people like, dude, the kids got to watch something. But you know what's still doing pretty well? Number 3, Oppenheimer, $29 million brought in this past week. Its domestic take is 228.98. And
this surprisingly had a big draw overseas as well, which I was not expecting.
Well, according to what we're looking at right now, it's made $4 million more from when the article I read. So I guess those numbers, the calculations are finally rolling in. $556 million worldwide. So not doing too bad for itself, and it's one of Nolan's better reviewed and more well-liked movies. So good for them. And then opening at the number 2 spot, because it's going to be tough to take that number 1, Meg 2, The Trench, brought in $30 million. Not so bad, I
No,
would think.
but get this. In China alone, it brought in $54 million.
Nice.
Yeah. In the international market, $115 million total, so it's already up to $145 million worldwide.
I wonder what the story difference is between what we get to see and what they get to see.
I don't think it's that different because,
Because they share the hero position.
Yeah, and at the end, they'd kind of do the "we did it," sort of thing. And it was. I think they didn't change much. But yeah, making a crap load of money.
Yeah, I mean they were both heroes. They went back and forth being like badass superhero, cool dude. It's fun. And then number 1, sticking around at number 1 for its 3rd week in a row, $53 million brought in by Barbie. $460 million here in the U.S. and it's already made its $1 billion.
Which it did set a new record. This is the first movie, I think, with a female director to hit the $1 billion club, is what I read this week.
Always a record with it. First movie made from all pink, starring Margot Robbie, directed by a woman that reached $1 billion in only 3 weeks.
New record.
Yeah.
That we just came up with. But yeah,
Because all the other movies that are full of pink and starring Margot Robbie and directed by a woman, well, they just didn't do it.
It didn't make $1 billion. Yeah. But yeah, sole female director to reach the $1 billion club, which is, that's cool. That's cool. But now we can't. Now no one cares. Next, if it happens again, we've covered that.
What happens when Greta Gerwig goes back to making movies like she was before, and everyone's like, "What's this art house bullshit trash?"
Basically.
Yeah.
Which I'm here for. I love punkin'.
Saoirse Ronan movie.
Get
this
out
of here. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's your box office roundup for this week. Lot of things to see. Dina says she doesn't want to do that again.
She doesn't want to go back to the movies that she was making before.
The ones that had like meaning. Or
she doesn't want to do Barbie.
Yeah, well, I'm sure $1 billion. She's like, I really don't want to make $1 billion again. No thanks.
Yeah. Gross.
Ew. I'm not in it for the money.
Dude, speaking of $1 billion, friggin' Mega Millions is at 1.55. I got my tickets, man. I want to be a billionaire. Big boy.
So we're gonna get a studio upgrade, or are you just gonna like never talk to me again?
No, dude. I'll get us the friggin' Meg Mono 1. For our studio. Apparently you can buy that with just $1 billion.
Yeah, we'll have a air conditioned studio and like all the bells and whistles and an advertising budget so more people will watch this shit. So yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
But anyway, well, all right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. That's our show. We will see you guys next week. Definitely going to see Voyage of Demeter. I need to check out Barbie this week at some point. If I have time, I'm going to go see it. So
I'm going to search for a.
You're going to go see Ninja Turtles
film. No, I don't want to do that.
Go see Ninja Turtles. It's fun, dude.
No, I don't want to.
Why? Are you scared?
Because I like turtles. I grew up with turtles.
You will like
turtles.
These
was my life.
You will like these turtles. There's cool music. There's just the Splinter part will make you cringe, but there's Mondo Gecko and Ray Fillet and like all the dudes that are there.
I just don't want it. I like what I have.
I think you'd like it. I think you'd have fun. It is fun.
I don't know about that. Why don't I just play Turtles in Time?
They actually referenced some of the games in a weird way. If you'd seen it, like,
and when Baxter Stockman shows up on the bridge, I'll just beat his dumb ass
with a street sign. No, there was a couple of scenes. Well, they made this joke in the Turtles movies where Splinter was like, "You cannot go to the real world because humans will capture you and milk you." And they're like, "Ew, gross! What are you talking about? Milk you?" And he keeps saying like, "Yeah, they milk you." And anyway, and this is of course Jackie Chan talking in an incredibly bad Spanglish sort of, or not English. That's what it is. Spanglish is the English, and it's very cringy, but he does it. And the turtles do get captured by this corporation, and they hook them up and start milking them of their the ooze toxin that makes them a mutant.
Where do they get the milk?
That they do the same look that you did, and they go, where do they get the milk? And they hook them up to this machine, and like Michelangelo's, oh my God, they're milking us. Splinter was right, and they're like, ah, but they electrocute them, and it does the exact same electrocution animation as the game, where they go
spiky,
yeah, and it's the same one. I'm like, oh shit, I recognize that.
Because of the stupid mousers.
Yeah, fuck those Mousers.
Fuck the Mousers.
And yeah, they kept making like, well, where are your nipples and all this. It was, yeah, the milking gag was it kind of made me laugh. I thought it was kind of funny. But anyway, all right. But that's our show. It's hot in here.
How much Malort did you have before you watched that movie?
Just enough.
Okay.
Anyway, you could see the sweat. Like, I'm starting to sweat. So we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week. Like, subscribe, share this. Share this stuff. Velvet Santa's like the only dude out here doing the Lord's work. He's out here like making VHS cassette copies.
Dude, we're on the bargain rack.
Dude, you can buy a VHS cassette copy of this at Kapow Comics. Like, you can have a VHS collection of episode of the Drive-In Speaker Box, Volume 1. I mean, we are almost at episode 1000 of this show, of like recorded shows. That it's insane that we've done. Don't even talk to me about it. But like and subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. You can tune into the show live if you're listening on Spotify. Thank you. You can download this wherever it is you download your podcast, or you can tell your smart speaker to play the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast. You have to kind of say it that way. It's the Drive-In Speaker Box podcast, and it will pull that crap up. So anyway, thanks as always. I'm Bo, the boom operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we will be back next week, I guess. Yeah? All right.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.